Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface. Not many game characters get to call themselves icons. Sure, we've got plenty of recognisable faces, but to be an icon, you need to have brought something extra special to the table. And in 1996, the world was introduced to the phenom of Tomb Raider, and its arrival was explosive. Girls suddenly had a strong female role model to look up to. She was smart, athletic, beautiful, savvy, and guys, well, imagination doesn't need to run wild to know what they were thinking either. She appealed to all, and she is Lara Croft. But after some very strong showings on the original PlayStation and then across to the PC, the Tomb Raider franchise failed to move forward with developments in technology. Angel of Darkness on the PlayStation 2 was nothing short of absolutely dreadful. And when the Xbox 360 landed, Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider games had sank down to the level of mediocrity. It deserved so much more, and finally, we have it. In 2010, Square Enix, renowned for the Final Fantasy series of games, filed for a trademark on the slogan, "A Survivor is Born," based around the development of a new Tomb Raider title, with further information leaking later that year that it had in fact been in development for 2 years. Excitement and anticipation started to build, and this anticipation would then turn into fever pitch in 2011 as we eventually got to see our first look at the title that was simply going to be known as Tomb Raider, a back to the roots name for a back to the roots title, and it looked phenomenal. The game engine had been rebuilt, production values appeared high, and Lara Croft had never ever looked so good. Suddenly, this title was being hailed from all angles as an inevitable success. But that success was nearly derailed by executive producer Ron Rosenberg, who during an interview hinted that Lara's instincts for survival would actually be kicked in when a group of islanders would attempt to rape her. It's something which he denies as being misquoted. But suddenly, the hate crowd were out. The torches had been lit, and there was a march to the windmill of Square Enix. This whole thing could have got blown up out of proportion, but thankfully, to some very succinct PR, things managed to get back on track, and the whole furore seemed to settle down. Even an announced delay on the title didn't seem to damage it either. Initially touted for a fall 2012 release, it was to be pushed back until March 2013. Everybody had the feeling something special was being born here, and we wanted to make sure they had the time and resources to finish it off properly. So although we wanted to get our hands on Lara Croft as soon as possible, we fully empathised, and in fact, it only made the credibility of this title stronger. With the now stormy waters of the press calmed, this apparent Teflon title could also boast its own ability to survive adversity, and we could now focus all our attention on Tomb Raider itself, and more importantly, the new and improved Lara Croft. The gorgeous Camilla Luddington lends her voice to the iconic main character, taking over from Keely Hawes, and she brings a whole new dimension to Lara Croft, who is young, in her early 20s, and very green and lacking in worldly wisdom that only age or tragedy can bring. That's not to say Lara hasn't experienced any loss in her life, as with previous Tomb Raider titles, Lara's parents appear to be deceased, and Ship Captain Conrad Roth fills the role of her surrogate father, with a very well crafted relationship between the two characters, which is just as well, because the rest of her supporting cast are very weak and highly forgettable. Lara's BFF Sam plays the role of damsel in distress and displays incredible levels of naivety throughout the game. It appears she'd probably be more at home as a sorority girl in a good old slasher flick. Their relationship feels disingenuous. In actual fact, it's Camilla Luddington herself that seems to carry the role between a lot of these characters, with such a richness in her voice that you believe everything that's coming out of her mouth. Lara's archaeological rival comes in the form of Dr. James Whitman, and he seems to have been derived straight from the big American book of cliched British villains. He's obnoxious, he's arrogant, he's cocky, he's overconfident, and of course has absolutely no backbone, and his loyalties seem to flip-flop throughout the course of the game. You have no sympathy towards him whatsoever, or any fate which may befall him too. The same could be said about the rest of the underdeveloped sporting cast. Alex, Jonah, Jocelyn, they actually just turn out to be names. You don't have any genuine interaction with these people, and therefore you can't build a connection or a relationship with them. This lack of development, though, could be semi-intended, as it allows us, as the player, to develop a more well-rounded relationship with Lara ourselves. We have been entrusted with her survival, and Lara appears to respond vocally to how we control her. Fall off areas that are too high, and she might start telling herself to be more careful. Apologetic when we have to hunt wildlife and kill it for food and resources. Commenting on the environments that we travel in, its beauty, its textures. It's very easy indeed to be sucked into her plight as an additional traveller on her journey. This is helped by a very fluid control system. You're never fighting the controls no matter what the game throws at you. And believe me when I say it will throw a lot at you, as the pace is absolutely frenetic. The beginning areas seem to act only as a starter to allow you to familiarise yourself with how Lara handles. After about 30 minutes, the main course begins and all hell seems to break loose. But the game never gets too far ahead of itself. This may be a reinvention of a beloved franchise, but they haven't forgotten the fundamental aspects of what made us fall in love with it in the first place. Exploration, discovery, finding hidden secrets and lost tombs, managing to solve those seemingly impossible puzzles until it all just clicks together. Lara's twin pistols seem almost as iconic as her, but they've now been replaced by a makeshift bow that will allow her to defend herself against her hostile environment, as well as also allow her access to apparently inaccessible areas thanks to upgrades that you can gain along the way. But the clever introduction of further additions to her arsenal suddenly make you realise that this game is rooted in the essential core values that made it so popular back in the 1990s. You find a pistol, then a shotgun, further up an assault rifle, and eventually a grenade launcher, and it's only then do you understand these are Lara's classic weapons of choice, done so subtly that their introduction feels genuinely natural. You can scroll between weapons on the D-pad, allowing combat to continue at a high pace and never letting you feel that it will hinder your performance. Certain weapons are also better for different occasions. If you're in an all-out fragfest, get the assault rifle out. Just tether the trigger. Make sure that those shots count, otherwise you might lose control of the gun. If you're stealthing and don't want to be detected, the bow is your ally. You can pick people off with fantastic headshots that will allow you to remain undetected and get through your progression. These weapons can also be improved upon and upgraded with the use of scavenged equipment that you find along the way. Spend more time exploring and it'll reward you with extra resources, and sit down at one of the many campfires that lay around this mysterious island to apply these upgrades, or to spend your skill points that you gain through the accumulation of experience. This will improve your own personal abilities and give you a better chance of survival. Lara may start the game as a victim, but it's not long before she becomes a predator. My concerns that they may prey upon her vulnerability of youth were soon alleviated after my first main encounter fight, where I had to down an armoured soldier in a courtyard sent to tear her apart. She turns to a shot guard who enters the zone after you've killed him, expecting to find her corpse and not his, and screams, "I'm still alive!" before sending him on his way to the afterlife as well. Another such instance sees Lara heavily outgunned and outnumbered in a temple. She somehow manages to turn the tide of battle, explosions rain out in all areas, and the enemies flee for their lives. A pursuing Lara screams at them, "You better run!" These aren't cocky, arrogant quips. They're the roars of a lion, the pounding fists on the chest of a silverback. This is her war cry. Lara is fighting for her very existence and stands on the brink of the abyss of life and death. She fights tooth and nail to survive. And you feel this all the way through the game. Your heart pounds as you experience every aspect of her plight. In summary, Tomb Raider has an excellent control system that's easy to use and very fluid. There's plenty for you to experience. Hidden temples, secret treasures, hunting, upgrading your weapons, upgrading your skills. The game also looks gorgeous beyond belief, and that only helps your ability to immerse yourself in the story, which is both strong and engaging. The supporting cast may be weak, save for Roth, but that's the only relationship that you will actually care about. Camilla Luddington brings the character of Lara alive in a stellar acting performance that is compelling, believable, strong, and yet vulnerable. Tomb Raider is on the verge of greatness, never trying to copy Drake's, simply remembering what made the title so popular all those years ago. If they resist the temptation to cash in and bring out rushed, unpolished sequels, then Lara can once more dominate as the Queen of the Tombs. This outstanding title gets an easy 9 out of 10, and it's available to buy now online or on your PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter and also like my Facebook, and I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. Take care everybody. Bye bye.